There's a radio playing somewhere inside you. You didn't turn it on. You don't know how to turn it off. And on this frequency, this one persistent channel, there's a voice, a face, a presence that won't stop broadcasting into your awareness. You think about them when you wake, in the quiet moments between tasks, in dreams that feel too vivid to be accidents. And you've asked yourself the question that brought you here. Why? Why can't I stop thinking about this person? Most will tell you it's attraction, chemistry, unfinished business, and perhaps on the surface that's true. But what if I told you that this person, this haunting presence in your mind, isn't really about them at all? What if they are a mirror, a messenger, a golden thread your unconscious has woven to lead you back to yourself? Carl Jung once wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But he might have added, "Everything that captivates us, everything that obsesses us, carries the same sacred map." Today, we're going beneath the surface of longing, beyond the psychology of attachment, into the architecture of the soul itself, where thoughts are not accidents, but invitations, where this person you cannot stop thinking about is not a distraction from your path, but perhaps the path itself. Breathe, and let's begin to understand why someone occupies your thoughts like a tenant who never signed a lease. We must first enter the territory Jung called projection. Projection is not a weakness. It is not delusion. It is the psyche's native language, the way your unconscious speaks when it has no other voice. You see, the mind cannot hand you a neat document titled "Parts of Yourself You've Abandoned." It cannot send you a memo about the qualities you've buried, the potentials you've denied, the archetype stirring and the deep wanting recognition. So it does something far more elegant. It casts them outward. It projects them onto the screen of another person. When you think obsessively about someone, you're often thinking about a part of yourself that has been exiled, suppressed, or never fully lived. They become the carrier of something you need to see. Jung called these carriers anima and animus, the inner feminine in men, the inner masculine in women. But the principle extends beyond gender into the realm of pure psychic content. That person who enchants you, they may embody the confidence you've muted, the wildness you've tamed, the tenderness you've armored against, the creative fire you've rationalized into ash. And your psyche, in its infinite intelligence, has chosen them, this specific constellation of traits, this particular energy signature, to show you what you've forgotten about yourself. Jung wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But before transformation can occur, there must first be recognition. You must ask the question that dissolves the projection. What are they showing me about myself?" This is not to diminish the reality of connection. Love is real. Attraction is real. But beneath the surface current of longing, there is often a deeper current, a call from your own unlived life, wearing the face of another. Consider the archetype at play. Is this person the hero you've been too afraid to become? The lover you've denied in favor of duty? The rebel you've silenced to fit in? The sage whose wisdom you've dismissed as impractical? When you see them in your mind's eye, which quality shimmers most brightly? That shimmer is the clue. That light is the part of you knocking on the door of consciousness. asking to come home. The unconscious speaks in symbols. And sometimes, the symbol it chooses is a human being whose very existence makes you feel more alive. Not because they complete you, but because they remind you of what completeness might feel like if you integrated what they represent. This is the first threshold, the recognition that your obsession may be an invitation, that the person haunting your thoughts is not your destination, but your mirror. But Jung did not stop at the personal unconscious. He knew there were deeper waters where psychology dissolves into mystery, and the rational mind must bow before something greater. He called it synchronicity, a causal connecting principle, the phenomenon where outer events mirror inner states with such precision that coincidence becomes an inadequate explanation. When you think of someone and they call, when you dream of them and encounter them the next day, when their name appears everywhere, as if the universe itself is trying to tell you something, these are not accidents. They are whispers from what Jung called the collective unconscious, the shared psychic substrate beneath individual awareness, where all souls swim in the same ocean. From this vantage point, your persistent thoughts about another person take on a different quality entirely. They become evidence of resonance, two tuning forks vibrating at frequencies that call to one another across space and time. Not because one possesses what the other lacks, but because both are participating in the same pattern, the same archetypal drama, the same soul curriculum. In spiritual traditions across the world, this phenomenon has been named and honored. The Hindus speak of karmic bonds, souls entangled across lifetimes, returning to one another to resolve, to learn, to evolve. The mystics speak of soul contracts, agreements made before incarnation, invisible threads that pull certain people into your field at precisely the moment your growth requires it. You think about them constantly, not because you're weak or obsessed, but because on some level, beyond the personal, your soul recognizes theirs, recognizes a shared frequency, a shared lesson, a shared wound that only this particular configuration of energies can illuminate and heal. This is the spiritual reframe. What if your thoughts are not yours alone? What if they are the movement of something larger, consciousness itself, orchestrating meetings and separations, attractions and repulsions, all in service of evolution? When you cannot stop thinking about someone, you might be picking up on an energetic transmission, a signal that says, this person is significant to your becoming, not necessarily to your happiness, not necessarily to your romantic fulfillment, but to the unfolding of your soul's deeper purpose. Jung himself experienced this. He wrote of his encounters with patients, where the boundaries between therapist and client dissolved, where he could feel their inner worlds as vividly as his own, where their healing required not just analysis, but a kind of sacred witness. He understood that some connections transcend the personal. They are numinous, charged with the presence of the divine. So ask yourself, when you think of this person, what else arises? Is there a quality of fate, a sense of recognition that predates your meeting, a feeling that something ancient is stirring, something that cannot be explained by neurotransmitters and attachment styles alone? The spiritual perspective does not negate the psychological. It deepens it. It suggests that projection and synchronicity are two sides of the same coin. One is the inner journey, integrating the disowned self. The other is the outer mystery, participating in a web of meaning that connects all beings. And perhaps both are true simultaneously. Perhaps this person is both mirror and messenger, both projection and presence, both a call from your unlived life and a thread in the cosmic tapestry, woven by hands you cannot see but whose intelligence you can feel in the ache of your longing. The universe speaks in patterns, and this person, this thought that will not release you, is one of its words. Understanding is beautiful, but understanding alone does not liberate. Knowledge must become practice, insight must become embodiment. So now we turn from the theoretical to the alchemical, the work of transforming obsession into awareness, longing into wisdom. If this person is a mirror, you must learn to read what the mirror shows. If they are a messenger, you must learn to decode the message. And this requires a quality of attention most of us have never been taught. The ability to observe our own inner landscape without judgment, without grasping, without pushing away. Begin here. The next time their face rises in your mind, do not distract yourself. Do not scroll. Do not busy your hands. Do not flood the silence with noise. Instead, pause. Breathe into the center of your chest and ask, what emotion is present right now? Not the story about them. Not the fantasy of reunion or the fear of rejection, but the raw feeling tone beneath the narrative. Is it longing, grief, excitement, anxiety, anger, tenderness? Name it. Let it have a voice, because here is what most people miss. The emotion is not about them. It is yours. It has been waiting inside you, perhaps for years, and this person has simply become the catalyst that brought it to the surface. They are the key that unlocked a door you didn't know was closed. Now, go deeper. Ask the emotion, when have I felt you before? Close your eyes. Let your awareness drift backward through time. Where in your history does this feeling live? Was it in childhood, when you longed for attention that never came? Was it in adolescence, when you buried parts of yourself to be accepted? Was it in a past relationship, where you learned that love required sacrifice? The person you cannot stop thinking about is often a bridge to an earlier wound, an unfinished chapter, a younger version of yourself who is still waiting to be seen. And your obsession is not weakness. It is your psyche's attempt to bring you back to that place, so you can finally heal it. This is shadow work. This is the retrieval of lost fragments. And it requires courage, because what you find may not be comfortable. You may discover that you are projecting your need for validation, your fear of abandonment, your belief that you are not enough unless someone extraordinary chooses you. These are hard truths, but they are also doorways. Here is another practice. Write this question at the top of a blank page. What qualities do I see in this person that I have denied in myself? Then write without stopping. Let the pen move faster than your inner critic. Are they confident, creative, free-spirited, emotionally open, successful, charismatic, peaceful? Write it all down. Your fear of abandonment. Your belief that you are not enough unless someone extraordinary chooses you. These are hard truths, but they are also doorways. Here is another practice. Write this question at the top of a blank page. What qualities do I see in this person that I have denied in myself? Then write without stopping. Let the pen move faster than your inner critic. Are they confident, creative, free-spirited, emotionally open, successful, charismatic, peaceful. Write it all down. And when you're finished, read the list as if it were a description of your own unlived potential. Because it is. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The qualities you see in them are not foreign. They are exiled parts of your own psyche, waiting in the outer world, because you have not yet claimed them within. So claim them, not by becoming them, not by imitating them, but by asking, how can I embody this quality in my own unique way? If they are confident, where in your life are you hiding? If they are creative, what have you stopped creating? If they are free, what cages have you built around yourself? The mirror is showing you the work. The obsession is showing you the curriculum. And finally, this. Sit in stillness and place one hand on your heart. Breathe slowly and speak to the part of you that keeps returning to this person. Speak to it as you would a child who's afraid or confused. Say, I see you. I hear what you're trying to tell me. You don't have to shout anymore. I'm listening. Because that is what the obsessive thought is. A shout from the depths. A part of you that feels unseen, unheard, unloved. And it believes that this person is the answer. But the real answer is simpler and more difficult. You are the answer. Your willingness to turn toward yourself with the same fascination you've been directing outward. Your willingness to become the one you've been seeking. This is not about forgetting them. It's about remembering yourself. And in that remembering, the obsession often loosens its grip. Not because they matter less, but because you matter more. Now we arrive at the threshold Jung considered sacred, individuation, the process by which a human being becomes whole. Not perfect, not purified of all shadow and struggle, but integrated, coherent, a self that has retrieved its scattered pieces and woven them into something singular and alive. This person you cannot stop thinking about. They are not an obstacle to your individuation. They are part of its architecture, a catalyst placed in your path by forces you may never fully comprehend. And the question is not whether to release them from your thoughts, but how to transmute what they have awakened in you. Transmutation is an alchemical term. It means taking base metal and turning it into gold, taking raw, unconscious longing and refining it into self-knowledge, taking projection and transforming it into presence. This is the work. This is the real relationship, not with them, but with the process itself. When you integrate what this person represents, something shifts. The obsession does not necessarily disappear, but it changes flavor. It becomes less desperate, less consuming. You can hold their image in your mind without collapsing into need. You can feel the attraction without mistaking it for destiny. You can honor the connection without requiring it to save you. This is maturity, not emotional coldness, not detachment, but the capacity to experience longing without being ruled by it, to feel desire without letting it eclipse your sovereignty. Jung understood that every relationship, every encounter, every face that haunts us is ultimately a mirror of the inner marriage, the union of opposites within the self, the anima and animus, the conscious and unconscious, the light and shadow. We seek in another what we have not yet united in ourselves. And when we finally do the inner work, the outer world rearranges itself in response. Sometimes, this means the person returns, not because you manifested them through wishful thinking, but because the energetic frequency has shifted. You are no longer emanating lack. You are no longer radiating the desperate question, will you complete me? And in that shift, a different kind of meeting becomes possible. One rooted not in projection, but in genuine presence. But sometimes, and this is harder to accept, the integration means letting them go. It means recognizing that they served their purpose not by staying, but by leaving, by being unavailable, by remaining just out of reach, because that distance forced you to turn inward. That absence created the space for you to discover what you were actually searching for. There is a Buddhist teaching that says, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. The pain of longing is real. The ache of unmet desire is real. But the suffering, the endless mental loops, the stories of inadequacy, the belief that you are broken because they are not yours, that is optional. That is what dissolves when you integrate the lesson. Ask yourself now, with full honesty, what would change in my life if I never heard from this person again? Sit with that question. Let it be uncomfortable, because embedded in your answer is the truth of what you've been avoiding. If the answer is everything, then you have given them too much power. If the answer is nothing, you may be defending against the vulnerability of admitting how much they've touched you. But if the answer is something in between, if you can say, I would grieve, but I would also continue becoming, then you are standing in the center of integration. This is individuation, the capacity to hold paradox, to love deeply and remain whole, to be moved by another without being consumed, to honor the connection without mistaking it for salvation. Jung wrote near the end of his life, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And sometimes, the people we cannot stop thinking about are the ones who force us, finally, to take that privilege seriously, to stop waiting for external validation, to stop believing that the answer lies in someone else's eyes. The golden thread they represent is not leading you to them. It is leading you through them, back to yourself, back to the wholeness that was always there, beneath the longing, beneath the projection, beneath the beautiful, painful illusion that someone else could ever be the source of your completion. You are the source. You have always been the source. And this person, this persistent thought, this haunting presence has been the universe's way of reminding you. So here we are, at the end of the inquiry, but also, if you've truly listened, at the beginning of something else, a different relationship with your own mind, your own longing, your own mysterious depths. You came here asking why you cannot stop thinking about someone, and perhaps now you understand that the question itself was the answer. The very fact that you asked it means you are ready. Ready to see beyond the surface. Ready to meet the parts of yourself that have been speaking through symbols, through faces, through the persistent whisper of a name in the quiet hours. The unconscious speaks in symbols. And this person, whether they remain in your life or fade into memory, has been one of its most eloquent messengers. They have shown you where you are incomplete, where you are hungry, where you have abandoned yourself in favor of an image, a role, a safer version of who you thought you should be. And now the work begins, not the work of winning them, keeping them, or forgetting them, but the work of becoming what they reflected, the work of retrieving the projected gold and reintegrating it into your own soul. This is not a small thing. This is the hero's journey. This is the alchemical transformation that every mystic, every depth psychologist, every spiritual tradition has pointed toward across millennia. Your soul's evolution does not happen in comfort. It does not happen in certainty. It happens in the tension between longing and letting go, between attachment and surrender, between the person you thought you needed and the person you are becoming. Jung spent his entire life exploring the psyche's capacity for transformation, and he discovered something extraordinary: that suffering is often the doorway, that obsession can be the beginning of awakening, that the very thing we think is our pathology might actually be our initiation. So bless this person. Bless the thoughts that will not release you. Bless the sleepless nights and the unanswered questions and the ache that feels too big for your body. Because all of it, every single moment of it, has been in service of your unfolding. And when you finally integrate what they've shown you, when you reclaim the qualities you projected onto them, when you learn to see yourself with the same wonder you once reserved for them, something miraculous happens. You become free. The unconscious has brought you here for a reason. Trust it. Trust the process. Trust that even this, especially this, is part of your becoming. Before you go, I invite you to do one thing. Place your hand on your heart. Close your eyes if you're able, and ask your soul directly, what are you trying to show me through this person? Listen, not with your mind, but with your body, not with logic, but with the quiet knowing that lives beneath thought. The answer is already there, not free from them, but free with them. Free to love without losing yourself. Free to desire without desperation. Free to connect without collapse. This is the soul's great work, and you are already doing it, whether you know it or not. Every time you pause and ask the deeper question, every time you turn the mirror back towards yourself, every time you choose awareness over distraction, integration over fantasy, truth over the comforting lie, that someone else holds the key to your wholeness. It has always been there, and it is waiting for you to finally hear it. If this video resonated with you, if it opened a door you didn't know was closed, I invite you to subscribe, to like, to share this with someone who might need to hear it. But more importantly, I invite you to comment below with your answer to this question. What quality does this person embody that you are being called to integrate? Because your story matters, your journey matters, and in sharing it, you may give someone else permission to begin their own. The radio is still playing, but now perhaps you understand that the frequency was never theirs. It was always yours, calling you home, calling you back to yourself, calling you into the fullness of who you have always been meant to become. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your courage. And thank you for doing the sacred work of becoming whole. Until next time, walk gently with your soul.